Imagine a world where the very concept of leadership has been turned on its head, a world where the traditional hierarchies and power structures have crumbled, giving way to a new paradigm, one that values authenticity, vulnerability, and service above all else. This is the world we must create if we want to unlock the true potential of our organizations and our people. For too long, we've been sold a lie about leadership. We've been told that it's about being the smartest person in the room, about having all the answers, about directing and controlling those around us. But this myth of the infallible, all powerful leader is not only outdated, it's downright dangerous. When we buy into this myth, we create cultures of fear and conformity where people are afraid to speak up, to take risks, to be their true selves. We stifle creativity, innovation, and growth, all in the name of maintaining a false sense of order and control. But what if we dared to reimagine leadership altogether? What if we had the courage to embrace a new model, one that prioritizes authenticity, empathy, and service? I've seen the power of this approach firsthand. Early in my career, I worked for a company that was facing a major crisis. A critical project was on the brink of failure, and we were at risk of losing one of our biggest clients. In a moment that would forever change my understanding of leadership, our senior leader called a company wide meeting to address the issue. But he didn't do what most leaders would do in that situation. He didn't place blame, he didn't try to downplay the severity of the crisis, and he certainly didn't hide behind his title or his team. Instead, he did something that was as rare as it was remarkable. He took full responsibility. With a vulnerability and authenticity that I had never seen in a leader before, he owned the mistakes that had been made under his watch. He acknowledged the challenges we were facing head on without sugarcoating or deflecting. And in doing so, he showed us what true leadership looks like. This single act of genuine accountability and humility not only salvaged the client relationship, but it also transformed the culture of our entire organization. It showed us that leadership isn't about perfection or invincibility. It's about having the courage to be human, to own our failures as well as our successes, and to grow and learn alongside our teams. And this isn't just a feel good anecdote, it's backed up by a growing body of research and evidence. Studies from institutions like Gallup and the London School of Economics have consistently shown that when leaders prioritize authenticity, vulnerability, and servant leadership, their organizations thrive. Take, for example, a study by leadership expert Simon Sinek, who found that organizations with servant leaders, those who prioritize the growth and well being of their people, outperform their peers in virtually every metric, from employee engagement and retention to innovation and profitability. Or consider the work of Brene Brown, whose research on vulnerability and courage has revolutionized our understanding of what it means to be a great leader. In her groundbreaking TED Talk, Brown argues that vulnerability is not a weakness, but rather the most accurate measure of courage. And when leaders have the courage to be vulnerable, to own their mistakes and their struggles, they create cultures of trust and resilience that can weather any storm. So, what would happen if more organizations embrace this model of authentic servant leadership? The research suggests we would see a cascade of positive effects: increased trust and transparency, higher employee engagement and satisfaction, stronger corporate reputations, more innovation and adaptability, better decision making, enhanced resilience in the face of crises, and more positive, productive work cultures overall. But adopting this approach requires a fundamental shift in the way many of us think about leadership. It means letting go of the myth of the infallible, all powerful leader and embracing a more humble, human, and ultimately more effective model. It means prioritizing self awareness and continuous growth, regularly reflecting on our own strengths and weaknesses, seeking out feedback, and investing in our own development as leaders. It means serving our teams, not just directing them. It means creating environments where every individual feels valued, supported, and empowered to do their best work. And perhaps most importantly, it means leading with authenticity, showing up as our true selves, leading with our values, and building real human connections with the people we lead. This is the essence of authentic leadership. It's not about titles or corner offices or org charts. It's about trust, integrity, service, and genuine care for the people and the mission. It's about creating the conditions for individuals and teams to thrive. And in doing so, driving transformative results for our organizations. But this kind of leadership isn't easy. It requires a level of vulnerability and courage that most of us aren't used to. It means being willing to have difficult conversations, to own our mistakes, to show up as our true selves, even when it's uncomfortable or scary. But here's the thing: when we have the courage to lead in this way, to embrace authenticity and vulnerability, we don't just transform our own leadership. We create a ripple effect that touches every corner of our organizations and beyond. We inspire others to bring their whole selves to work, to take risks and pursue big ideas. We build cultures of trust and transparency where people feel safe to speak up, to challenge the status quo, to innovate and create. And in doing so, we unlock a level of human potential that most organizations only dream of. So, as you reflect on your own leadership journey, I invite you to ask yourself, are you ready to let go of the outdated myths of leadership? Are you willing to embrace a more authentic, human centered approach? And are you prepared to do the hard work of continuous growth and self reflection that authentic leadership requires? If so, then you have an extraordinary opportunity, not just to transform your own leadership, but to help build organizations and cultures that bring out the best in people and make a real, positive impact in the world. The philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will all say, 'We did it ourselves.'" This is the paradox and the power of authentic leadership. It's not about you. It's about the people you serve and the mission you pursue together. And when you lead in this way, with authenticity, with humility, with a deep commitment to growth and service, you don't just change your team or your organization. You change the very definition of what it means to lead. And in doing so, you might just change the world. So let us dare to reimagine leadership. Let us have the courage to lead with authenticity, vulnerability, and service. And let us create a world where every individual and every organization can thrive. The future of leadership is in our hands, and it starts with each of us right here, right now.